I think these days anybody should be creative. If you are in some sort of solopreneur type of field, usually you will not have massive marketing budgets or something. So you need to outperform and stand out in this insane amount of noise that is online. If you want to be a solopreneur, a creator or whatever, there should be this strong, big desire, living this laptop lifestyle, to have this online business and being free from 9 to 5, don't have any bosses or anything like that. It was a very strong desire for me. So you need to figure out what is that strong desire. I think that's kind of the step one. And the next one is consistency with ability to iterate. We do hear a lot of this, like, consistency is everything, blah, 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 blah. But I think it's a bit, in some sense, stupid, because you can consistently run into walls, and just do dumb stuff and never learn from them. You need to have this consistency, but with the ability to iterate, to really look for these signals. I have this little quote: when things don't work, double down on iteration. When things do work, double down on consistency.
Hello everyone, this is Shubham Tiwari and I welcome you to another episode of Fireside Chats. Our today's guest shares easy to digest ideas on creative businesses and personal development. He's pretty big on explaining ideas visually. We are going to pick his brains on that later. He's a learner, creator and a teacher. He's none other than Janis Ozolins. Janis, welcome to the Fireside Chats.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm happy to be here and looking forward to our chat.
What inspired you to become a creator? Because, how did you find this formula of putting your ideas with visuals to create a greater impact?
Yeah, it definitely didn't start with visuals. I think the initial boost was, I don't know, some 6 years ago or something, when in my high school I needed to present a business idea, and somehow I figured out that I need to figure out something that I can start now, without any financial backing or anything. I was working 9 to 5 at that time. I didn't have any spare money or whatever. I thought I need to figure out something I could do, because I had this entrepreneurial mindset, but I was mostly like entrepreneur instead of being an entrepreneur, just mostly talking and not really doing anything. And then at that time, when I started to do some digging, I got really intrigued by all this, internet businesses, all the, the laptop lifestyle, all that stuff was very compelling to me. I was like, oh man, I need to figure something out in this digital space. And so then it just took basically 4 years of trial and error. I tried to build some SaaS products with some other developers. I tried to do YouTube. I tried a bit of podcasting. I tried blogging and a lot of different things, which mostly felt like an uphill battle. And I didn't gain any traction or anything, but I was still having fun and just experimenting a lot. And yeah, later down the line, I discovered this idea, that you can explain ideas visually. And that's where I kind of really leaned into consistency, because I really loved it. It was easy to maintain, while being a father and doing these 9 to 5 jobs, etc. And that's where I really leaned into this form of creation and started to gain actually some traction, some progress, and here we are. It's been a good more than 2 years since I kind of started this visual stuff, and it's been really good.
So for those who may be wondering what I'm talking about when I talk about, presenting ideas visually, you can go, on Twitter and find Janis, and you can see how easily he, provides contexts through visuals for ideas. So, and, it's very funny in a way, because words are also, symbols, right? They're also visuals. It's like just creating visuals on top of visuals, but... To me, when we talk about explaining ideas visually, to me it's almost like, I don't even look at it as a visual, as an art form. To me, it's like a vehicle for effective communication. It's just a different way how to communicate. Of course, there are certain things you can't explain with visuals. You can't write a biography probably through visuals. Maybe you can through some cartoonish stuff, but it could be a bit odd. But for particular ideas, using visuals and combining, these various different elements we are familiar with, and a bit of text is very effective to get your point across, and just to present ideas in a bit more novel way, because you often read the same thing and it feels very blank, but you can basically
illustrate that in some form of visual, and it can bring like a new fresh perspective for you. It's something you have already digested elsewhere, you know,
Yeah.
but it's just this new interesting twist that kind of grabs your attention, and it's just a different way how to explain things. So that's how I look at it.
Exactly, because I'm reminded of one of the quotes by Martin Scorsese. He says that essentially words are also pictures, right? They're just symbols. You're looking at them, but you're also right. You need novelty. You need different kinds of visuals. So it brings me to your favorite visual that you've created so far. Is there a favorite? First of all, that's the question, because you've created many. And how did you bring to life? And the concept, execution, anything, everything.
Yeah, I don't know. There are, I guess that there are several favorites, you know, and each of it has its own little interesting thing. You know, I don't know. One thing which I really enjoyed when I made, I haven't posted it for a good while, but I had this illustration of like where there is this big brick of cheese, then there is like a little like medium-sized cheese slice, and then just a small slice of cheese. And basically the idea was that the big like roll of cheese is dreams, and then like a little like pie chart type of size of cheese is a project, and then a little slice is a task. So basically, and it was like slice and start was the caption. So the idea was you take your dreams, you slice them into projects, and then you take a little slice, which is a task, and that's how you tackle your dreams. I was really kind of proud with that concept, because it was just something that, I don't know, it came to my mind when I was on a kitchen floor, and I was just thinking something about this idea that dreams could be sliced into projects. And then I started to think about this cheese thing, that there's this big roll of cheese, and then you will take a little slice, and then I understood, okay, and actually a little slice of cheese could be tasks. So I kind of mixed it together and created this interesting metaphor, which was fun, which was good fun. But there are several other favorites as well. But yeah, that one is kind of something I enjoyed making, and it was a good insight when I had it back then.
So what tools do you use to create these images, visuals?
I have created using many different tools. Now I'm using Figma, because it's very basic. It does the job really well for a couple of things I need. I don't need any super fancy stuff that you can get on like Illustrator or other vector design tools. I basically use just a couple of tools in Figma, and that's what I use now. Previously, I did things on iPad in raster graphic. I used Procreate, which is a really good application if you want to do like raster graphic, which is more the sketchy type of feel for your illustrations. But then I moved into vector graphic, because in vectors, it's really easy to like copy paste shapes and basically reuse your assets. Now I can open my Figma dashboard, and have this loads of different illustrations, and I can just mix and match them, or take some template, and twist it up a bit, because you often will see, I have like a similar look for visuals, but there's just different ideas inside of them. And that's really easy with vector graphic. You can like copy paste things, and they look sharp and good. And so now at the moment it's Figma. Previously I used like Illustrator and Affinity Designer, because I wanted to have this balance between iPad and desktop applications, because I felt like I need this Apple Pencil, to draw things and so on. But later down the line, I understood that 95% of the time I'm working only on my like laptop, and I understood like the best application for to working with vectors on laptop for me was Figma. That's why I kind of ditched the iPad after all completely, and just I do things on Figma. So yeah, that's where I'm at now, but I have tried many different things.
You've also built a course around this. So please tell us more about it, and what would be the outcomes from the course for a creator?
Yeah, I have this course and community who is running a bit more than a year. Well, I guess 1.5 years, and soon to be. But yeah, I basically created it. I was in this very, very nice place, because I was sharing things online, and people started to like ask me, "Hey, Janis, how do you come up with these concepts? How do you do this, etc.? Can you teach me? When I got like several DMs for this, I was like, okay, maybe it's time to act on this and create a course, because it seems that people are actually interested to figure out how I all do this thing. And that was just when I packaged it. and created a course where basically I just share my process, and of course a lot of this process, is like in my head, and I try to put it on paper, so how I would this explain to somebody else. And yeah, since it has been launched, like a lot of people have grown big audiences and are explaining ideas visually and having a blast. One of the things which I really enjoy that students report from it is a similar thing that happened to me, because previously when I tried to like be a creator using like YouTube, blogging, etc., it really, to me, it felt like an uphill battle, because YouTube, I enjoy making videos, it's good fun, but it was just so time consuming to get out the quality I wanted. And writing always has been hard for me, English is not my native language, so it's not that easy. It wasn't that enjoyable for me. But when I started to do things visually, it was, I would say 80% of the work, is this brainstorming, just learning and trying then to figure out, okay, what I could do with this concept, what elements I could bring. And you're just, you are on your whiteboard or whatever, sketching things out, etc. And that is really fun, and most people find that fun. And that was like one of the most warming feelings from the course, that a lot of people report this, like, I'm actually enjoying this, this type of content creation. It's really fun and sustainable in a meaning, you can be consistent with it and still pump out like a lot of stuff and make it in good quality. But it's not like, if you want to do like Matt Diavella style YouTube videos, it will just take you a freaking 2 weeks or whatever. And yeah, that's kind of the outcome. You just learned how to do this stuff, and if you enjoy it, then you can just, if you can combine it with, your curiosity and whatever is your niche, whatever you like, then just start to like explain these ideas visually. And, and if you want to build an audience, you can now have a machine, basically, how to create a lot of content, that can build your audience. You will be able to stand out online, etc., with visuals. And I don't know, a lot of people from corporations join who just want to improve their like slide skills, and bring good illustrations in their slides or their landing pages, so people apply this in various different ways. It's same as with good writing, you can use good writing everywhere. And like with these visuals, there's a lot of different areas where you can apply it as well. But of course, I would say most people who join, they are kind of, most of them are aspiring content creators who want to create content, and that's kind of why they learn this stuff and go with it.
Wonderful. So why do solopreneurs need to be creative? You say this a lot on LinkedIn, on Twitter. And what do you mean by solopreneur creativity? How can they be creative?
Yeah, I don't know if I talk about it that much, but but I think these days anybody should be creative. If you are in some sort of solopreneur type of field, usually you will not have massive marketing budgets or something, so you need to outperform and stand out in this insane amount of noise that is online, with creativity, so you need to figure out these creative ways how to stand out. In my way, it is through these visuals. That's kind of how mostly I get attention and stand out in this crazy crowd. But I don't know, at the same time, when you ask this question, it reminds me of you probably Justin Welsh, who is a very prolific solopreneur creator, and he like writes on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and etc. And like I have taken like his courses as well, and he's extremely prolific in terms of his like structure and systems. Of course he is creative as well, but when you see the amount of structure he puts behind like his
it's like an engine,
creation,
content engine.
It's extremely systemized. So I would say, just to encourage people that if you feel this like, oh, I'm not a creative, therefore I cannot be solopreneur, I think it's bullshit, because you can look at people like Justin Welsh, who has this extremely prolific system when it comes to like writing online, etc. And I have a lot of elements I use in my visual creation. It is a process as well. It's not like, of course, when you go to Instagram and you see some of my visuals, you're like, oh my God, this is so creative. I would never be able to do this. It's not true. When you start to puzzle these pieces together, then you actually, start to make sense of it. It reminds me of this good old, Steve Jobs quote: you cannot connect the dots moving forward. You can connect them looking backwards. And also here's another
Backwards.
quote around that creativity is just connecting things, and that's really how I feel about creativity. It's just connecting things. It's not like coming up with this insane something novel and always very insightful. Usually you just connect things together, and other people will find it creative.
Amazing. We are also trying to connect creators with monetization and growth opportunities. So you also mentioned Justin Welch, who does really well on social media, has multiple revenue streams. You have built courses. So please tell us about your revenue streams, and can you give us a breakdown of it, if it's possible?
Yeah, at the moment it's actually extremely simple, and I look forward to like diversify it more in future. But to this day, basically, my business at the moment, for the past 2 years, I would say on average it does around 100K in revenue in a year, of course before tax, etc. And I would say around 60% of it is like course sales, that one course which we mentioned, and the rest of it, like almost all the rest of it, is freelance work, which I do take on occasional freelance work and work with a couple of clients. And the small, super small bunches, some newsletter sponsorships or some other random things, but newsletter sponsorships and just growing newsletter in general is something I look forward to do more of. And in future I'm now like kind of in discussions with one publisher to work on my first coffee table book, so that could be another revenue stream that comes in. And I don't know, if people will keep asking me about another certain thing that they want to teach me, then some other course, might pop up in future. We'll see.
Of course.
Yesterday I got approval finally for the Twitter subscriptions,
Oh,
so that
wow,
could be
congratulations.
something that's something I could add as well. But I don't know. I believe it will be a very small portion of I'm sure I hope the course will still be the main revenue driver, because it's just.
Yeah. Many congratulations on various things that are coming, right on time for you. In a recent post on LinkedIn, I read that on LinkedIn, you talked about, top 3 ideas that gave you incremental gains on social media, right? And you also talk about how when people take your course, they gain a lot of followers, they grow very fast. So can you please give us an overview without giving it away from the course? Like, what do you mean by these top 3 ideas?
You mean about top 3 ideas just where I shared on LinkedIn after 4 years with zero results, last 2 years have brought results beyond my expectations. That's the one you mentioned. Yeah, it's actually not that much, I think, related to social media, but that post was mostly inspired just by my creative journey, I would say, and if I talk about those 4 years where I had like 0 results, I was dabbling a lot. I was not really sure what I was doing. It was just, there was no really serious commitment, it was just fun, and I was playing around, but didn't commit to anything. But when I found the visuals, I really committed seriously to them. I thought, okay, this is something I like. I feel there is something to it. I have seen some sort of validation with this. Let me commit to this. So I actually I had this challenge with one of my friends where previous year we did like whatever, you need to do 50 push-ups per day or something. If you don't, you send the other person €1, and basically, and so it's just like an accountability thing, with a bit of monetary incentives. And that year I said, I will publish a visual every day as well. If I don't, I send you €1. So I was really kind of serious about this being consistent stuff. So I think when it comes to one of those first of ideas, it's a serious commitment in my view, like you need to have this desire, if you want to be a solopreneur, a creator, or whatever, there should be this strong, big desire. It's not something, like I could say right now, look at whatever, I don't know, I could build a car company, that could be cool, that could be cool. But there's no serious commitment around it. There's no real desire,
Action points.
Yeah. I maybe saw somebody, did something cool, but like, ooh, I could become like cool, a good like surfboarder or whatever, whatever. You see somebody and oh, it looks cool, I could do it, but there's not the serious commitment, But for living this, to me, to living this laptop lifestyle, to have this online business and being free from 9 to 5, don't have any bosses or anything like that. It was a very strong desire for me. So you need to figure out what is that strong desire. I think that's kind of the step one. And step two, kind of which relates to the same step one, is belief. Desire plus belief. And belief, I usually explain. I really like this quote from Brendan Burchard, which is, believe in your abilities to figure things out. And how I see that quote, a lot of people tell, do these affirmations, go to your mirror and tell like, I'm rich, but the actual truth is that you are dead poor at the moment and you're just kind of lying to yourself, But when I look at that Brendan Burchard's quote, believe in your abilities to figure things out, I really like the honesty in it, because you are not lying to yourself, You can believe that you can figure this out, There was things back in time, that you didn't know how to do. Maybe you didn't know how to drive a car or something, but step by step you learn that thing, and there is many proofs when you look back, that there were a lot of things that you didn't know, and then you figured them out, and then you have this confidence, etc. So just believe in your abilities to figure things out. You can figure out these new things which you will commit and want, etc. So that's kind of the big step one. And the next one is consistency with ability to iterate. And how I look at it, we do hear a lot of this, like consistency is everything, blah 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 blah. But I think it's a bit, only saying that consistency is everything is a bit, in some sense stupid, because you can consistently run into walls, and just do dumb stuff and never learn from them. You need to have this consistency, but with the ability to iterate, to really look for these signals, this doesn't work, let me try this, I see some progress here, let me mix this stuff up, and you're just consistently moving forward, but you are just looking for these signals, and you are ditching things which are not working and leaning towards more stuff that is working. Because I see, a lot of people do stuff consistently, but it's just not working for years, and for years you see this, and you want to kind of shake them that, wake up. I don't know, if you really enjoy this and it's super good for you, etc., then nice, whatever, keep doing it for the sake of fun. But if you want results, then you need to iterate and look for different things, that works. So that's kind of, I have this little quote, when things don't work, double down on iteration. When things do work, double down on consistency. So that's kind of how I would summarize this lesson too, from this little old thread I did. And the third one, the last one, is don't be a lone wolf, which as well, like previously those 40 years when I tried to be a creator, I was basically just on my own. I didn't had any friends who was doing this. I was just basically podcasts and books were my kind of friends and mentors. At that time, none of my friends really cared about this stuff or anything, so I was kind of alone. But around the same time when I started to do visuals, I joined Jack Butcher's Visualize Value community, and there I found some friends here and there, and just to talk and be a bit surrounded with people who are into similar things as you and kind of try to make it as well is so motivating. And it makes you realize that you are not alone in this. There are many different people who have the same struggles as you, who are maybe more successful than you, but they are no smarter than we're just all figuring this stuff out, and it's very motivating and helpful to be in these communities or just have friends with these similar aspirations, etc. So don't be a lone wolf, and look for some peers and friends that you can kind of chug along together. So those are kind of my four tips for if you want to go for something.
It's impressive how many quotes you remember, and it's also great that you read books. So my natural question would be, give us your top 3 book recommendations. I mean, to give a context, let's set a context when you're feeling less creative, let's say. What do you go back to?
When I feel less creative, I usually prefer, I think, podcasts, I really like, again, from this Brendan Burchard guy who is this, he has like a podcast as well, and sometimes he have these very short but to the point episodes, which are very like motivational, and all the regular motivational stuff, but it kind of helps you to get in a higher gear, and keep going. So I really like podcasts in that sense. But I would say if I would need to like recommend books, I usually, of course, it depends to whom I'm recommending books and what is their context.
Let's say for creators.
For creators, for creators, there is, I don't know, the good old classic, The 4-Hour Workweek. It was the first book I read, and it was just, my mind was on the floor, because I was like, at that time when I read it, I was in my, mid-20s. I felt like pretty confident dude, I know stuff, I'm pretty smart, etc. So you have this naive belief that you actually know shit. And then I read that book and I was like, holy shit, I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on. There's so much to learn. I was so excited. And he just, he brings up this new interesting world, of all this, how to leverage time, how to like leverage all this internet age, etc. And I think there are good nuggets, even if it's like a bit old book. I don't know, but the book I have recommended the most to people, and I would not say it's extremely action oriented, but I just love it. It feels like there is no fluff in it, which is Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. It's extremely short read. You can, I think, read it for free online by going to sivers.org/A. And that's it. I think you can get the book there or order it. It's a nice, simple, little, easy read. And it's, again, just fun, good one. Third one, I'm not sure. Maybe until the end of the episode, a new book will come to mind. But those two would be something I would recommend.
I think that will do. And speaking of, actionable advice, and since you, create visuals every day, it reminds me of, the digital artist Beeple as well, who creates digital art every day. So what sorts of, actionable advice would you give to, any creators who may be listening to this right now, so that they can get started in their journey and, start feeling fulfilled as they grow in their career?
Yeah, I think by far, if you want to be a content creator, by far the best advice I can give you is to take notes. When you go about your day, you need to turn up your awareness, and really notice things which are around you. Notice your emotions, how you approach different situations, and really note down those things. A lot of my best visuals has come from me just, sitting or walking and just noticing some interesting pattern in my mind or something where I'm just, I don't know, feeling anxious about something and you just kind of note it down and then you work with that idea. Extremely powerful. Of course, same, like read books, listen to podcasts and take notes with ideas from those things as well. It's extremely powerful as well. But also notice these different things which just you notice, you feel, etc. All those things are extremely important for great content ideas. Very, very important. When if I sit down and I have a blank page, I don't know what to do. It's very hard to figure out what I could create. But if I have these just loads of notes, I have thousands of them by now. Maybe not thousands, but 2,000-3,000 at least. Where I can just browse around and skim and see, and hey, this feels interesting, and then I just take that note and I continue to work with it. Then I can apply some research on it, look what others do, and then you kind of start and take it from there. So taking notes is extremely important in my opinion. Because you will not start with blank page and it will be just super motivating. And along with that comes the idea that you need to be a curious consumer. If you'll just live your life and will not learn anything new or whatever, you'll just you won't be interesting enough. In my opinion, you need to live life. And I'm not like old or anything, and I have not lived that much, but so I read a lot of books, I listen to podcasts, I hear these interesting nuggets from everywhere, so I just take that and kind of work with that. So you need to be a curious consumer, and read books and stuff on your whatever is your niche.
Wonderful. So last ritual we make our guests go through. Would you like to nominate anyone for the show?
Nominate for the show? What's the main goal you guys are trying to achieve with this podcast?
Well, to bring awareness around growth and monetization for creators.
Growth and monetization for creators. Have you talked with Alex Llull from Spain?
Not yet.
Yeah, he's good. He has this newsletter called the Steel Club, and he's like really good at picking different tactics. You know, he kind of breaks down a lot of different creators, how they do different things, and kind of he just puts them online. You know, shares them in the newsletter so people can kind of steal their tactics. You know, not steal their content or whatever. You know, that's
Of course.
stealing, but kind of to have insights like, hey, this is how Janis do this, you know, or this is how Justin Welch do this and that, and he's like pretty good at that. So I think it rhymes pretty well with your show. So that could be a good rec I could give.
Thank you so much, Janis. We wish you the best, and we eagerly wait for your book to come out and your tips and insights, and on top of that, your visuals that you create. Thank you so much for everything, and yeah, thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you. My pleasure. Take care.
And cut. That's it for today's episode, guys. If you really liked it, please subscribe to the Thousand Faces Club and press the bell icon below so that you don't miss any videos from us. Thank you.